Hey everybody, welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Rise of the Beasts Studio Series number 98 Maximal Cheetor. So as we always do, let's go ahead and bring that box in and take a look at it, and you'll start right up at the top. You've got that Rise of the Beast logo, you've got your pass-through window there, and then you have some really nice artwork of Cheetor in his Cheetah mode. He is number 98, Cheetor, Transformers. Over here, you've got the artwork of him in his bot mode, looking like he's ready to take somebody out. Back here, you have a little bit of information. It is big screen inspired, the Peruvian jungle discovery. And then down here, Cheetor and the Maximals team up with the Autobots to protect the Transwarp Key. He converts to 24 steps. Got a backdrop included, and then you got the sad baby down there. And the baby's sad, actually, because the baby has a phobia of cats. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but yeah. And then over here, you've got a close-up of that cheetah head and those claws. He is a Voyager class. And then down low, you have that information if you care to read it. Up top, Transformers Rise of the Beasts. So now that we've taken care of that box, let's go ahead and get that out of the way and look at everything that came with Cheetor. Behold, laid out here before you is everything that came inside that box. And we'll start over here with your little sheet of warnings. Yay. And then you have your instruction booklet. Yay. And you're left with what you have here. So we'll talk about that background in a moment, but we're going to talk about these two items right here. So these are his spears, stickers, swords, killy thingies. And they are, for the most part, very similar to each other. They're not exact. They do vary in length. And then also some of the details in here. So you can see this one has a pass-through and this one does not. So let's just go ahead and take a quick look at this one first. And yeah, I like it. I think it gets the job done. I do like the silver paint on the end. Could have maybe used a little bit more elsewhere, but yeah, it gets the job done. And then you have your little tab right there that you can use for the weapon storage in both modes. And then bringing this one in, again, very similar, not exact. You can see the difference there. And then there is the back side. And then you've got your tab there. All right, so that leaves you with the last thing here, which is this included backdrop. As I've said in previous reviews, I really appreciate that Hasbro does this. I have no room for them, so this is going to go back in the box and just be put in storage. But for those of you who have room, I think it looks really nice. Let's move Cheetor out of the way just for a second so you can get a nice view of that. So you can see it is that Peruvian jungle scene. And yeah, it looks pretty good. So now that we've covered all that stuff, let's get that out of the way and let's focus on the details for Cheetor himself. Here he is, that bot we've all been waiting to see. This is Cheetor. So let's go ahead and bring him in and take a look at that beautiful face. And I will tell you that this is a different take, but I do like the sculpt work here. I think it looks pretty good. Nice paint applications and then those little green eyes in there. So it all looks pretty good. And coming down to his bespeckled chest. So you've got some nice cheetah marks there. You've got that Maximal symbol in the middle. And then abs for days, you know. I mean, he's pretty cut. And coming on down. Everything looks pretty good there in that midsection. Got some spots right there. And then coming on down a little bit lower. Everything looks pretty good. Comes together really well. I like the fact that this guy, he just looks solid and well done all the way around. It's some pretty good engineering on this guy, actually. So, taking a look at him from the side. You got some nice sculpt work going all the way up. Looks nice and solid under here. And you get to looking under those arms. Doesn't really look all that bad. It really doesn't. Speaking of those arms, let's take a look there. You've got some nice mechanical detail. And then you've got big, broad shoulders right here coming on down to the forearms. Everything looks good. You've got mechanical detail there as well. And I like what they've done here in the bot mode with these claws. Kind of gives them a Wolverine type of look. So I do very much enjoy that. And let's take a look at him from the side so you can see that side profile. And he's pretty slim, all things considered. Now, his butt flap does get in the way for posing. So this butt flap down here will get in your way a little bit, and you'll have to move that out of your way when you pose him. But for just a pure side view, I think he looks pretty good. And then here he is from the back. Again, cleans up really well. No major issues with this guy as far as the overall looks. I think he looks fantastic in his bot mode. So taking a look here. See the way all that comes together. Backs of the arms, you know, if you look really hard, you've got some hollow places right up there, but they're normally covered by those shoulder pads, so not really complaining. And then if you want to call this a hollow, this is the rotation area right here for that forearm, where that rotates for the transformation. A little bit on the hand there, and then coming on down. Yeah, I think for the most part, he looks pretty darn good. So now we'll just jump into his articulation, and we'll start up here with the head. So the head's on a ball joint. You get some up, you get some down, you get a little bit of side to side, and then you can go all the way around if you want to, if you suffer some type of gruesome injury, I suppose. As far as the shoulders go, you have these shoulder pads that are independent, and then you have these joints under here that allow you to bring those arms up like that. But then you also have this joint right here where you can bring those arms up that far before he starts running into his own head. So I don't know if you want to. That doesn't look weird. Nope. And then you can go all the way around with those shoulders. You have bicep rotation, so you can go all the way around there. And then at the elbows, you get right at 90 degrees. Down here at the wrists or the hands, you get wrist rotation, so you can go all the way around. And then you can do what you want with those claws. All right, and then you have waist rotation on this guy. So again, keep in mind of the butt flap. You're just going to need to lift that up out of your way a little bit so he can clear his legs. But you can go all the way around if you want to on that waist. And we're going to keep that butt flap open because we're going to do a lot of leg movement here next. So you can bring those legs out and you can get a full split. I am not going to call this a Van Damme, but it is a full split. So nice wide range of motion there. And then kicking forward. Very well done. Kicking backward. Now this is actually kind of deceptive because he's not going to kick all the way back to his butt flap. He's just going to stop right there because he runs into that pin area right there. So that's all you're going to get from him going backwards. Nothing at the thighs as far as rotation, but you do have rotation at the knees. So that's part of the transformation, but you can use that for your rotation as well. As far as the knees go, you do get a little bit of forward bend that you would use, again, for rotation for transformation in his alt mode. But primarily his regular knee bend, you're going to get 90 degrees on that. And then coming down to the feet, you'd get outside ankle tilt, and you get inside ankle tilt. So very well done there. And then as far as the feet themselves go, you can do some sweet toe action if you want to do some sweet toe action. And that was my dog flapping her ears in the background. All right, so that was it for the articulation. While we've got him here, let's go ahead and talk about his spears. And yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot of surprises here. You can plug them together as soon as I line them up in the light here. There we go. So you can plug them together and you can have a really long spear and have him holding it in each hand. You can have the individual spears and have him doing something like this. So there you go. That's actually my personal favorite. The one where they're all together, it's okay, but posing is a little more difficult, and there's just something intimidating about somebody or something holding two big weapons like that. Now, as far as weapon storage goes, it's pretty simple, pretty well done in my opinion. So you have these slots back here. They're going to coincide with these tabs, and I think you know where this is going. You're just going to line those up and plug those in so you can have them oriented that way, or if you want, you can have them oriented this way. It's totally up to you. So you know, I'm going up, have them going down. My preference is I like them down, both down, because it just adds to the sleekness, the svelte-ness of the Cheetor figure. But you can always do that if you want. I don't like that because one is taller than the other. But that's totally up to you. All right, so now that we've gone over the details, articulation, and those accessories, now we're going to jump into the transformation and get this guy into his kitty cat mode. Let's go ahead and get Cheetor transformed now. So what you're going to do, the best advice I can give you is just keep moving stuff until it looks like a cat. I know that sounds kind of silly, but that's kind of what you're going to do here. The instructions, in my opinion, I think they overcomplicate them. So I'm just going to show you my way. I'm just going to get these arms out of the way. I'm going to start down here with the legs. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate 180 degrees at this knee. So it's facing backwards like that. And then I'm going to bring the leg down. So it's like that. And then I'm going to pop this shin area right here. It's just going to come up on a double hinge. And if you look in here, you have a tab, you have a port, you're going to bring that up, you're going to feel around, and then you're going to get that snapped into place. And then you're going to come down here. You've got the legs. You're going to tilt this backwards. You're going to tilt this forwards, and you have a leg done. That's pretty much it. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to get the butt flap out of the way. So I'll go ahead and I'll bring this down first, and then rotate that 180 degrees right there. Pop this, bring it up, pop it into place, bring that back, bring this forward, and look at that, we got 2 legs done. All right, yay. Now you have a little port right there, or a little peg. It's going to go to your flight stand port right there. So you're just going to bring that down, line that up, drop that down, and then bring the tail down. And there he is, back half cat, front half a robot. Just like that. Now, as far as the arms, we're going to do these arms momentarily, but first we've got to get rid of this head and get the kitty cat head out. So you're just going to give this guy a split. You're going to pull him right there at the chest. You're going to pull him right there at the back. And then you've revealed the cheetah head. And now that gives us room to tuck away the robot head. So you're just going to bring it down like that. Push that into place. And now that's out of your way. And then you can bring this down. As you bring it down, make sure that his little throat cover is going to be clear. And then you bring that down, and then that's just going to snap into place. And you can see you got a serious gap here, but there's a reason for that. You have tabs, and right here you have slots. So best way to do these arms, bring these arms down just like that, so you're kind of looking like a cat. And then you need to take these pieces right here on the forearms and rotate them around. So they're going to rotate to the back like that. And that's going to allow you to give that a little bit of a bend. And then you're going to rotate those arms out, and then bring those claws out, and then bring them forward. So now when you swing this entire assembly forward right there at the shoulder, you're going to align that tab with that slot, bring it in, and plug that in right there. Dun, 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 dun. I say it. And there you have kitty cat arm. All right, so we do the same thing over here on this one. So you're going to take that forearm, rotate that forearm around, give that a little bit of a bend, point that outwards, pull that hand down, push that claw out, and then you're going to swing this all in. You're going to align the tab and the slot, get everything all aligned there, give that a push, and ta-da, 2 kitty cat arms done, 2 kitty cat legs done. And I'm not going to bother trying to make him look all pretty in the pose yet. But that is it for transformation. You have Cheetor in his kitty cat cheetah mode. So before we start manhandling Cheetor, I figured I would throw him on the turntable here so you could get a nice unobstructed 360 degree view of him in his alt mode. And I think they've done a pretty darn good job here. He's not perfect, but for the price point, for being a Voyager class, I think there's a good amount of engineering in here and a good amount of detail that can really make me appreciate this figure. So just a couple things to point out. I think it's a nice combination of the mechanical and the organic, what they've done here. I guess I would have liked a little bit more consistency. I'm going with the idea that in the movie you see mechanical pieces and that he's not a fully indistinguishable cheetah, that there's definitely some robot pieces there. So I think what they've done here is pretty good. So let's go ahead and get that turntable out of the way now. I want to bring him in for his close-up, talk a little bit about the articulation on this guy and a few little eccentricities that he has. Now that we've got that turntable out of the way, we can bring Cheetor in for his close-up, and we're going to start right up here with the head. And yeah, it's a good amount of sculpt work all the way around. Nice paint applications. I like this whole combination of organic and robot, and you can kind of see like the metallic, mechanical, sinewy jaw area there. That was really cool. But I will say that if they're going to take the time to do the paint in all these little areas, why couldn't you have painted those teeth? I mean, really, it just would have been nice to have painted teeth. You've got silver right there. Just put some silver right there. Seems like it's easy peasy. But anyway, yeah, looks pretty good. Even little ears look nice. And then coming around to the side, neck looks nice and strong. Then all those mechanical details that we saw in bot mode as well. And then coming down here to the arms, this is the other part that I think is a little strange. This is as it should be as per the instructions, but it almost seems like you would want these forearms turned out that way so you could see, I don't know, more cheetah. But again, I'm going with the assumption that it's the robot design to have those out like that. So I'm conflicted. I don't know how I feel about this. But then coming back here, a little bit of textured area for the fur. And then you've got those legs. Look pretty good. You do have a couple of, hollow areas back here, but they're not awful by any means. Tail looks kind of cool. And then over here on the other side, it's just like the right side. And then here he is from the top. And here he is from the bottom. So yeah, he comes together pretty well. I will say that as far as a robot that transforms into an animal, I think they've done a pretty good job here. So let's go ahead and talk about the articulation. So as you can see, because I've already done it, you do have the mouth articulation. So you can have him with a closed mouth. You can have him with an open mouth. He's getting all screamy and yelly. And then you do have the ability to turn that head. If you want to go exorcist style, you can do something like that because that's not nightmare fuel. All right, and then coming down to the shoulders. Shoulders don't really do anything. You can get up under here with the arms, and you can bring those forward that far before they run into the shoulders, so to kind of give you that almost like a pouncing kind of look, one of those. That was my cheetah imitation for those who were curious. And then you have the ability to turn those arms to the point of being awkward, and then straightening those out that far, and then claws up, claws down, and then twist those to your desire. So you could totally Frankenstein this guy and just make him look absolutely horrific if you wanted to do so. Coming on back to the rear legs, you do have the ability back here to give these a split. So as I've done in previous reviews, you can have kind of a flying tiger, flying cheetah kind of look. If you want to do that, you will have to move the butt flap, but that's kind of the story of this guy's life, moving the butt flap. And then you get a little bit of motion here. If I'm putting pressure on this, because if I don't, then the butt flap pops out, and then you get a lot more motion. But in theory, you're supposed to get that much. And then down here, you got everything locked into place right there. And then coming on down to the heels and the toes, so you can bring those back that far. You can bring them forward that far, and then you can move those heels. These were the toes in robot mode. They are the heels now, so you can move those heels up, which is probably the way they're supposed to be. I think I missed that step. Whoopsie. And then you can tilt those ankles out or in if you want. Like probably pigeon toe this guy if you want to do something like that. And oh, he's injured. Oh, limp, back to base. Oh. And then you can move the tail. So you can bring the tail up that far, bring the tail down that far, and then you do have another joint right here where you can lift the tail up if he's going to mark his territory. So if there's a tree right here, marking his territory, one of those things. Those of you who have seen big cats, you know what I'm talking about. All right, so that is it for the details and the articulation. So as far as the accessories go, you store them. That's pretty much it. So, you can, just like we did in bot mode, you can plug them in and have them going forward as such. Ta-da! Or you can have them going backward. Oh no, he's down. Let's just pick him up so I reduce the camera shake. So there you go. Oh, get your paw down. I know I've got you all cattywampus. No pun intended. All right, so there you go. All right, so now that we've got all that out of the way, let's go ahead and we'll do some alt mode comparisons and see how he stacks up against some other cat-like figures out there. Our first couple of alt mode comparisons are going to be G1 comparisons. I do have a G1 Cheetor, but believe it or not, I never took him out of the package, and I'm not going to take him out now. So we're going to do a couple of substitutions here, and we'll start with my G1 Rampage, the Predacon. Next up is the G1 Beast Wars Tigatron. In the interest of full disclosure, this is not an original. This is the 2021 reissue of that figure, but it's the same thing as that mold when it came out, 20, 30 years ago. Speaking of Tigatrons, this is the War for Cybertron Kingdom Tigatron. And yeah, I think this is probably the closest comparison that we have. They're both Voyager class. They both look like pretty decent cats, and they do an alright job with robots. He definitely does a way better job with robot than Tigatron does, but there you go. While we're on the theme of the War for Cybertron Kingdom series, this is the War for Cybertron Kingdom Cheetor. So you can see some Cheetor on Cheetor action there, and you can see one of these guys is definitely the superior design. Next up is the Transformers Legacy Voyager class Leo Prime. And for that final alt mode comparison, just because why not, this is the Studio Series Core Class Ravage. Alright, that does it for the alt mode comparisons. Let's go ahead and get Cheetor transformed back into his bot mode. So to get Cheetor back into his bot mode, the first thing you're going to want to do is just split these front arms right here. They're just going to come down on this hinge, so give those a pull right here. Bring those down, and you should have something that looks like that. And you can do these arms now, or you can do them later. It's up to you. I'm just going to go ahead and do them later. So next thing you're going to do is you're going to split the back and split the chest. So give this a pull. You're going to raise that back up and give this a pull right here, and you're going to pull that chest out. That gives you the ability to access the robot head, and then you can close that back up. Make sure this lines up when you close it. Should be all lined up there. And then as far as the cheetah head goes, close this little throat piece like that, bring that down and tuck that away just like that, and it'll tuck right into his back, and give that a push, and then you're all set. Now come down here to the legs. I'm just going to go ahead and lift his tail up now, and lift that butt flap up out of the way. And then as far as the legs go, you're going to give them a pull right here, give them a pull right there, bring that heel down, which will eventually become the robot toes, and then pull this piece right here. It's going to disconnect on that double hinge. Bring it down just like that, and then you're going to rotate 180 degrees and then bring the leg down. Alright, so do the same thing over here. So pull that leg down, bring that forward, drop that foot, give this a pull, bring that down on that double hinge, swing this around, rotate 180 degrees, and you got the legs all done. So now you can focus on the arms, and just to give you that sense of orientation, you can bring those arms down, find your elbow bend. So there's your elbow bend, and you're going to bring that in, and then you're looking for those hands. You're going to rotate those hands around to their proper orientation, bring the claws down, and then you've got this little forearm piece right here. You're going to slide that up, and then do the same thing over here. So bring that arm down. You've already got your elbow bend activated over here, so swing that forward. Orient that hand properly, bring your Wolverine claws down, and then flip that forearm piece up. And just like that, you have Cheetor back in his bot mode. For our first bot mode comparison, here we see Cheetor next to my G1 Predacon Rampage with his crooked head. There you go. Next up, here we see Cheetor hanging out with that 2021 reissue of that G1 Maximal Tigatron. Speaking of Tigatrons, here he is with that War for Cybertron Kingdom Voyager class Tigatron. Moving right along to our next comparison, this is the Transformers Legacy Leo Prime. Now for a little bit of a Cheetor on Cheetor action. This is the War for Cybertron Kingdom Deluxe Class Cheetor. Our next comparison is another Cheetor figure. This is a non-transformable figure. This is the Transformers Red or Robot Enhanced Design Cheetor. So he doesn't transform, he's just a really detailed action figure, if you will. And out of the Red series, this is probably my favorite figure out of that entire line. And for our final bot mode comparison, I figured it would only make sense to bring in a fellow wave mate. So this is the Rise of the Beasts Voyager class battle trap. And that's going to do it for the bot mode comparisons. So let's go ahead and get into those final thoughts. So there we have the Studio Series Rise of the Beasts Voyager class Cheetor. I gotta say, I like this figure a lot more than I was expecting to. I didn't exactly have lowered expectations for it, but I'm just pleasantly surprised by how well this thing turned out. But let's go ahead and dive into it a little bit. Starting with the overall looks of the figure, I think for both modes that this is pretty well done. Considering the price point, you get a lot for the overall looks for this guy. Both modes are really good. The biggest complaint that I would have is, I guess he could have used a little bit more paint in both modes. That gunmetal gray is really nice for those mechanical areas. I do like the spots for the cheetah areas, but I feel like he could have used more. If you're looking at the legs right here, these kind of spots right here, something like that, he could have used a little bit more. Additionally, you put paint on his cheetah face in the eyes and near the eyes. Why not paint those teeth? Would have been nice, but that's just me being picky, I suppose. But overall, very well done. Really good shelf presence on this guy. Doesn't matter which mode you have him in. I'm giving him a 9 out of 10. Moving on to the articulation. It's pretty good. It's not great, but it is pretty good. A couple of drawbacks. You only get 90 degrees of motion at the elbows and the knees. Would have been nice to have gotten something a little bit more. It doesn't exactly hinder you as far as posing, but double jointed knees, double jointed elbows, those are always quite welcome. The rotation in the leg is just above the knee instead of up at the thigh. So you've got the rotation here. Would have liked to have had it up there. Would have helped in posing. Not impossible. Again, just kind of a weird place. I understand they did it for transformation, so I'm not complaining per se, but it's just something to note that you're going to have to work around. One other thing to note, if you look, he does have some pretty good overall stability. He doesn't have the biggest feet in the world, but you do have the ability with that toe bend to get him in some nice action poses. So I think overall articulation has done pretty well. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Now, making our way to the accessories. Yeah, I mean, they're adequate. I'm not really excited about them. It's a cool spear 2-set that you can have separately, that you can put together and have him holding it like I'm doing right now. It's all well and good, but he's Cheetor. Where's the gut gun? I guess that's my biggest issue, and they're just not really exciting. I don't know. I like the weapon storage in the bot mode more so than in the cheetah mode. But, hey, at least we got something there. I'm just not really excited about him. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Overall quality, I think, is there. For this price point, he's done really well. Everything tabs together the way that it should. Paint looks good. The overall molding and sculpt work looks good. I don't have any major issues there. He came with everything that he was supposed to in the form of those 2 accessories. And his joints are all pretty tight. There's a few that are a little bit looser than I would have liked, but, for the most part, he's nice and tight everywhere. He's going to hold a pose. He's not going to fall apart on you. So that's all very well done. From a design standpoint, I would have liked to have seen them do something different with his butt flap back here because it does get in the way in posing, but that's design, not quality. So I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 for overall quality. And that brings us to our final bullet, which is overall value. This guy is a Voyager class. The MSRP on Voyager classes, just like everything else, is going up. I will tell you that I picked this figure up from BigBadToyStore.com. This was actually a pre-order. Full disclosure, I've actually had this guy for quite a while now. At the time of this recording, probably well over a month. I'm just so far behind on all my reviews. It's taken me a while to get through stuff. But yeah, he was a pre-order from BigBadToyStore.com. I paid $36 for him. It's okay. I guess he's worth it for $36. I would highly encourage you to look for a better deal than that. If you can find it, great. He is eventually, hopefully, going to be hitting the retail market. You'll hopefully find him on a shelf somewhere for a few dollars less. That would be fantastic. But I think at the $36 price point, I wouldn't have wanted to pay very much more than I did. So I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 for overall value. So that brings us to our final total. Out of 50 possible points, the Studio Series Cheetor gets 40 out of 50. It puts him right at 80%. Barring the price point, I'm going to recommend this figure. I think he's a lot of fun. I think he's a good homage to that original Cheetor. I think he brings some really nice, innovative engineering and overall good quality in this iteration. So I certainly think he's worth picking up. Not for more than MSRP. If you can find it for less, then I think this guy's going to be a no-brainer. So with that, that's going to wrap the review up. I hope you guys got some good information. I hope you got some entertainment out of this. And if you haven't already done so, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment if you feel like it. And if you could, a big favor, if you know of anyone that would enjoy this channel or enjoy the videos that we make here, please share this video with them, share the channel with them. It's always fun to watch the channel grow and to be able to connect with new people. So with that, it's going to wrap it up. Till we see you guys in the next one, take care.